Hello and welcome to daisyknots version of the crocheted rainbow, the wrapped rainbow. The wrapped rainbow uses a double crochet stitch to wrap around macrame cord. Remember that I use UK terminology, so that will be a single crochet stitch in the US. And the double crochet stitch is worked into the back loop only. I use 8 colours in my bright rainbow. You can see that I've got 8 colours there. It's because I start with a pink. And on the muted coloured rainbows, because of course you can make rainbows in any colour you want and in any yarn that you want, I've used 7 colours in these combinations here. And all my rainbows are worked in aran worsted weight of yarn. To demonstrate my rainbow, I'm going to use the nice bright colours. I'm using a cotton, Drops Paris is what I'm using, and I've got 8 nice bright colours, and we also need some cotton macrame cord. I have used a 3mm 3-ply twist macrame cord. I always use the twist because I like the spaghetti look that you get when you untwist it at the end. I'm using a 4.5mm hook with my cotton Drops Paris, and I'm going to start with pink because I'm going to use the same colourway as the rainbow I have in front of me. First, make a slip knot. Grab one of the pieces of your macrame cord, leave a 30cm tail and then create a loop. Put the hook through the loop on the macrame cord, wrap the yarn around and pull through, and then wrap yarn around and pull through the 2 stitches that are on the hook. You've now created the first double crochet stitch wrapped around the macrame cord. We now have another 31 double crochet stitches to wrap around our cord. The cord is a little bit wobbly, so it can be a little bit of fingers and thumbs working these stitches, but try to keep your stitches as close to each other as you possibly can. So as a recap, we put our hook underneath the macrame cord, wrap the yarn around again and pull through 2 stitches on our hook. You want 32 double crochet stitches. Once I've created the 32 stitches, I end with a chain stitch and then I cut my yarn. The first row has now been created, and it does twist a little bit, but don't worry about that because when you pull it, which is what I'm doing here, you need to pull it together, that will start untwisting on you. So just pull all your stitches to make them nice and neat and lined up. So we've got 32 stitches. 2 of those stitches are for the special end stitches, the first border stitch and the last border stitch. So row 2, I'm sticking to my colours. We're going to start with red. So I pick up my red yarn and I need my next piece of my macrame cord too. Insert your hook through both the front and the back loops of that first stitch. Pick up your yarn and pull through and create a chain stitch. And then go through the same stitch again, both back and front loops, and work a double crochet stitch. And in the next stitch, you insert your hook into the back loop only. It can be sometimes a little bit tight. Then with your macrame cord, lay it across the hook and leave, that's what I'm trying to do here, is leave roughly 30cm of a tail. Once you're happy with the tail, we are then ready to create the next stitch. Wrap your yarn around your hook and pull through. You can see you've now trapped the macrame cord between the hook and the yarn. Yarn around again and pull through those 2 stitches which create your double crochet stitch. Because we're creating a rainbow, it's a semicircle and it grows every single row. So in row 2, I'm going to work 5 double crochets and then work an increase into my 5th stitch. So this is my 5th stitch and I'm increasing into this stitch. So I've worked 2 double crochets into the same stitch. You can see there's 2 stitches in one. So for round 2 I have to repeat 5 double crochets and increase in the 5th stitch 4 times. Okay, I'm in my last increase here. I'm just increasing in that last stitch there, and I have got 4 stitches left. 3 are for my last 3 double crochets, and 1 is for the last special border stitch. I'm just finishing the last double crochet stitch then. I'm now ready to do that special stitch, the final border stitch. The final border stitch is not wrapped around the macrame cord, so we tuck that out of the way, and we're going to use that last stitch going through the front and the back loops. So through front and back loops of that last stitch and work a double crochet, and then we work 1 chain to secure our stitches. Cut off our yarn and pull through, and there we go, we've got that last border stitch, and you can see the macrame cord is not caught up in that last one. Gives us a really nice edge at the end to do that. We've got a nice corkscrew spiral going on now, so what we need to do is tug on either end of the cord in row 2 to actually just even out the stitches. You can see I'm just tugging there. Try to make sure that the either end is even. You want to even up both the ends at this point, and just then spread the stitches out so that they're nice and even. So if we look at the back of row 2, you can see that our macrame cord has popped out and we have a little space because that first border stitch isn't included with the macrame cord. So either end, our macrame cord has got a nice edge to it. Row 3 is going to be colour orange with me, and it starts exactly the same as we did on row 2 with our first border stitch, which is through the front and back loops, pull through, make a chain stitch, back through the same stitch and make a double crochet stitch. And then again the same as we did in row 2, insert our hook into the back loop of the next stitch, get our macrame cord and lay it over the top of our hook, leaving a 30cm tail. So wrap our yarn around the hook and pull through to trap the cord, yarn around the hook again and pull through those 2 stitches to create our first double crochet stitch. In each row of the rainbow, the increases are in different places. In row 3, we have to work 6 double crochets and then we increase in the 6th stitch, and this is repeated 4 times. This is my final increase in row 3, and I should have 6 double crochets left to work before the final border stitch. A quick recap of the final border stitch is to tuck the cord out of the way, the macrame cord out of the way, because remember we're not using that, and to go through both the front and back loops of that final stitch of round 2 and work a double crochet and then work a chain stitch and cut your yarn. And then tug on both ends of the macrame cord that's wrapped in row 3 to make sure that we can actually arrange our stitches into a nice semicircle rainbow shape. Continue working rows 4 to 8 using your different colours. You can see I've already worked row 4 and I'm just starting on row 5 here. Just make sure that you use the correct increases for each row of the pattern. As you work further up the rainbow, your crochet doesn't get quite so spiral looking, it gets more of a frill to it. You also will start to, your cord will get a little bit shorter on the left hand side. That's okay, you can just pull it to actually even it up again. I'm on The last colour of my rainbow, colour purple, and I'm just about nearly the end of my row. However, I have nearly run out of cord. Can you see that I've just got a tiny little bit of cord left? So I thought it would be useful to show that you can actually pull this cord even before you've actually finished working the row. Remove your hook and leave quite a long loop of the crochet that you're working on, because you don't want to inadvertently pull that out. And then just tug on the macrame cord and give yourself a little bit extra. You can leave it still ruffled. I've just left it ruffled here so you can actually get the row finished, and then you can actually smooth it all out at the end. I'm just going to measure my 2 cords from either side of the purple row because it was such a difference at the end there. I want to make sure that they're nice and even. I've done this with every single row as I've worked along, just measuring them out. You can actually, if your rows aren't even, if your macrame cords aren't even on your rows, you can now readjust them. There's not a problem with that. Before I weave in all the ends, I'm going to adjust the stitches to make sure all the macrame cord's hidden. You can see some white spaces on that green row. This adjustment and smoothing out of all your stitches can take quite a while, and it's worth spending quite a little time actually rearranging your rainbow and making it nice and smooth at this point. Make sure that you check both sides, and then that way if you want to hang it in a window you have the option. When weaving in the yarn ends, try not to actually go through the macrame cord. That way, if you have any more smoothing out or adjustment of your stitches to make, the cord won't get caught in the woven in ends. Once the ends have all been woven in, we're ready to untwist the macrame cord into what I call my spaghetti cord. So to untwist the cord, twist it so that the actual cord itself looks a bit gappy, and then just pull one strand at a time through your fingers, and that is the best way to actually keep it. It will keep untwisted if you do it that way. So again, you just work your cord to make it a little bit slack, and then just pull one strand at a time, and then that will untwist it, and that will give you some nice spaghetti cord. Once you've untwisted both sides, the last thing to do is to even up your cord on both sides to be the same lengths. To get a nice even edge, I use masking tape. I find where the shortest edge is and I put my masking tape above that, and then I cut to the masking tape. And then all you have to do is hang your rainbow and admire it. If you've enjoyed this rainbow tutorial, please do subscribe to daisyknots channel.